Oh, and we are live. Okay. So, I don't really know how to start these things. How are you fucking supposed to fucking start any conversation? It's weird enough starting a conversation with like a human being that's real. Starting a conversation with an imaginary audience is like the weirdest fucking thing in the world. But anyway, this is Misery Movies episode 4. uh, Today we're going to be talking about the movie Kite, which is an anime from 1999, I guess. This is Rudy's choice, and Rudy's with us again.
Yep. Yeah.
We're also joined by Sarah
Hey guys.
and AJ.
Yo.
So the whole team is here. Um, so as usual, we're going to the first half an hour or the first half of the podcast is going to be a spoiler-free review of the film. And then we'll let you know when that part is over and when we can, when we're going to start taking a deeper dive into the film that will include spoilers and other, sensitive plot details. So, why don't we let Rudy get this thing started? Since this is the movie you picked, Rudy. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it and why you picked it?
All right. So this is a really violent anime. Um, it's pretty violent. I mean, that's the main thing that stands out. It's violent and it's very short. So it's basically about this child assassin who's trained by some, I guess I'll say, organized crime elements to kill people who are not marginalized, but people who they basically think are bad dudes by in society. And she has a friend who is also a child assassin, and the movie revolves around those two, their relationship.
Yeah. And lots of hardcore pornography, depending on which version of the movie you watched.
Correct.
And that's one interesting thing. There's actually at least, I guess there's like a whole bunch of cuts of this movie.
Yeah, I think
but
there's like 3 main cuts. There's the uncut one, which has all the the stuff that was labeled as like
Penis.
yeah,
has all the dicks in it. Yeah,
all the dicks in it basically. Then there's the sort of uncut one that has like a scene missing or something that was due to whatever to be shown. And then there's the fully cut one, which I guess is missing probably
15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
No, yeah, according to what I read, I guess there's 3 cuts, but it's been cut basically in 2 ways. There's one version of the film that is like the director's cut, which is about 60 minutes long and contains about 15 minutes of pornography basically just spliced in. And then there's the 45-minute cut, which is basically just like a violent noir kind of revenge film. And right off the bat here, guys, maybe we should talk about that before we get, like, just quick going around. Do you think the movie, what do you think would be the better version of the movie? The 45, we all watched the fully uncut version of the movie. Do you think the film benefits from? Do you think the 60-minute version of the movie or the 45-minute version of the movie is better? Is what I'm trying to ask.
Well, for me personally, the uncut raw version just added to the ridiculousness of it, which I liked actually. I like a good ridiculous movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it depends on what you want to get out of it. If you want a hentai, then yeah, that's probably what you want.
I don't really see the point of this movie without the hentai. I feel like that's half the movie,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does add that ridiculous. Oops, I hear my voice being fed back on somebody's end.
Oh, do you? I'm not hearing your voice. That's weird.
Huh.
No.
I heard it a little bit.
Is anyone hearing Rudy's voice?
Nope.
Wait
No.
a second. Wait, be quiet for a second. Check. Yeah, I'm hearing my voice fed back a little bit too. Who isn't wearing headphones right now? It's not Rudy. It's not me. Because
I'm wearing headphones too, actually.
AJ, are you wearing headphones?
Yeah, I always do.
That's weird.
Someone has speakers on, or they've got their mic really close to their headphones, or their headphones up really loud.
I just turned my volume down. Maybe that'll
Speakers?
help.
Oh, cool.
Let's see.
Oh.
It's very faint, but it may be enough to fuck up the audio.
All right.
Okay. Mic check. Nope, I'm still hearing it. Yeah, I'm hearing it louder now.
Louder.
Let me try on my end. Chat. I can't really hear it on my end anymore.
I can't hear anything.
Maybe I hear it a little bit faintly, but
AJ?
Check. No, I'm not hearing anything.
Sarah, do you hear your voice fed back?
Let me see. No.
Oh, I hear Sarah's voice.
Actually, I think I might have heard something too. Actually.
How's that
how is that? I don't even have speakers plugged in, so I can't really. I don't think it's mine.
I don't have my speakers. My only output is the headset.
Yeah, I'm just using my new mic, so.
That's
and
weird. Right?
I have the big chunky headphones on, so.
Yeah, I'm hearing Sarah's voice fed back.
Well, wait.
But not my own or anyone else.
What? That doesn't make. Huh.
Oh wait, now I'm hearing my voice back. Yep.
Maybe it's something with the Google Hangouts.
Maybe.
Let me check settings here.
I don't know. I'm bewildered. I don't know how that particular combination. There should be someone who can't hear their voice fed back to them, and that person would be the problem. Unless two people have problems.
But we're all wearing headphones, so it doesn't really.
Yeah, we will.
No, we won't start over, AJ. We'll pick up roughly. We'll just cut this 10-minute piece off.
It'll be fine. We only have like 2 listeners anyway. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hearing anything right now.
I don't hear anyone, but wait. Nope, I'm hearing myself and Sarah.
Huh.
Oh, I just heard myself laugh. No.
Sarah's is the worst, though.
Why?
Huh.
Oh, I think it's because of my mic, actually. Because it's
try.
new and it's a Rhodes, so it's pretty good. So maybe that's why, because you can hear more with it. I don't think that would be doing feedback, though. I think it's just why you're hearing it louder.
Right. I mean, the only way it'd be feeding back is if someone has either their volume very loud in their headset, or they have their mic very close to their headset, or they have speakers on somewhere.
I can try turning my volume down, maybe.
Well, I just took my headphones off while you guys were talking. I couldn't hear anything. So these are the ones we're not supposed to be able to hear.
Right.
Like outside. So it can't be mine, I don't think.
AJ, what kind of headset do you have?
Let's just blame her automatically.
Is it cranked way up? No? I'm not really sure why AJ would be hearing her own.
Yeah, so if she's hearing more than one person, that's pretty good.
And Rudy doesn't even. He's just got it. All he has is a headset.
Yeah, I don't have any speakers.
I don't think it's me. Wait a second.
Are you guys? Check. Is Will and Rudy hearing themselves fed back?
I did at one point. I don't hear it now, though.
Same.
I don't hear it now either.
I was hearing mine, but now I'm not.
Okay, I'm going to mute my mic to see if it's me, and then people should talk and see if they hear themselves.
Okay. Check.
So it's not.
I don't hear myself.
I don't hear myself either.
So it's Will's fault?
Check.
Will's fault.
Check.
Okay, now unmute your mic, Will, and see if it changes.
Okay. Can you hear it yourself anymore?
Check.
Check.
I don't. I feel like I can't. Oh, it's really hard for me to notice, to be honest, unless someone points it out.
I can't hear Sarah anymore, or anyone else.
I cannot hear myself fed back anymore.
Well, whatever. Who knows what it was? It's fixed now.
Who knows?
Say
Probably,
we
I think
fixed
it
it.
might be something with the Hangouts. Actually, I'm not sure.
Honestly, you could be right. That kind of makes
Who
more
knows?
sense.
It was very faint to begin with, though. It wasn't as bad as before.
Yeah,
So anyway, let's pick up. Just in case it's impossible to edit this completely, I just wanted to point out that we had a little bit of audio trouble there. So we are now picking up where we left off. So Rudy, you were saying you were talking about the different versions of the movie and which one you preferred.
Oh right. I think I prefer the version with the 60-minute version because I mean this is a ridiculous movie anyway, and I feel like the over-the-top pornography actually adds to the ridiculousness, which I think adds to the movie. Although I could see some people maybe not wanting that in their violence porn. They don't want regular porn with their violence porn. So. But if you were watching it for the hentai, some people like a little bit of hentai with their violence. I don't know. But yeah.
Or a little bit of violence with their hentai.
Right, yeah. I mean, so I guess it all depends on what you want to get out of it.
Right.
So, personally, I would definitely prefer the 45-minute version.
Why does that not surprise me?
I like my violence porn without regular porn. Yeah.
You just don't like penis. You just don't want to see all that
Yeah.
dick everywhere.
That's true. I had to look away during those scenes. It was uncomfortable.
But they were also necessary, AJ.
No, it was completely unnecessary in my opinion. Like it is a different film with them. However, I don't feel like that film is
Improved?
necessary in any way. Like it's literally just like, oh, here's a slice of 2 minutes or 5 minutes of porn, and it doesn't like benefit the film in any way, really.
Yeah, I am definitely with AJ on this one. I mean, I have no personal objection to there being graphic sex scenes in a movie.
I do.
I'm sure there are movies that have done that well. None come immediately to mind, but I'm sure that. But the reality is, in this movie, like they felt like to call them interludes would be, I think, too generous. It really did feel like, okay, let's put this movie on pause and flip over to like the hardcore porn channel. It was just so totally out of left field and distracting. I felt that it didn't really add anything to the movie. And in fact, I just got that they just felt so completely spliced in. They really didn't feel like part of the movie. Now, I am a big fan of giving a director discretion, and most of the times, if I was told there's a director's cut of a film, and then there's the cut that the studio made, what's the word? Balderized. But anyway, there's a cut that the studio makes that takes out things that the studio thought the audience would be uncomfortable with, and then there's the movie as the director intends it to be filmed, as the director intends it to be viewed, rather. In nearly every instance, the director's cut, I think, is going to be the better film, and would certainly be the film that I choose to watch. That said, this is the sex scenes in this movie are just so incoherent and add so little to the rest of the film and are so distracting that I just feel like it's two movies spliced together. Really, there's a violent a violent revenge thriller or a violent action movie mixed with some really like graphic hardcore pornography, and really awkwardly too. And some of the transitions between the scenes were like, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there's a sex scene near the end of the movie where initially I actually thought it might have been a flashback because spatially it didn't make sense to me. Like there are two scenes. It feels like two scenes that are going on at once, and I discovered about a minute into the scene that they had to be taking place in the same physical space. But I was convinced for that first 60 seconds that one of those things was happening in one place and the other was a flashback going on in another character's head, because I couldn't reconcile that space in my mind. Like, it seemed physically impossible for that sex scene to be taking place at the same time and in the same place as something else. Like, I swear to God, the fucking backgrounds were different. If you told me that they made a 45-minute version of this film, weren't able to sell it, and then spliced in 15 minutes of pornography in order to market as a hentai, I would believe that. I don't think that's what happened. I think that this is, I don't know, this is some weird Japanese thing. My knowledge of anime is pretty limited. Maybe it's a commonplace thing to make like a normal version of a film and an explicit sex like hentai version of, I don't know. I don't fucking know, but it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think you may have hit on something there. I think it may sort of be a cultural thing. I don't want to get too like, I don't know, like racist. I mean, but we're not like, I don't know if we're necessarily what would be the target audience for this. Well, some of us maybe more than others. I mean, none of us are like, you know, Japanese men in their 40s, you know, who watch anime a lot. I mean, I'm not sure if that's the audience or not. I don't, but I think it might be something cultural that kind of comes bundled with a lot of stuff, like as far as, because I haven't really seen any other hentais, but a lot of, like, I have seen one other one. It was called Bible Black. I think I made you watch some of it, Hank.
It's likely.
But like when like hentais, it seems like are really like the sex scenes are like, it would be a lot more than that, like a lot more sex than that. So like, I don't think, like you said, I don't think it's a case where they just decided to splice it in to make it a hentai. But I mean, I don't know. It as I said, it could be something cultural that we just don't get really.
Right. But the sex scenes were jarring for you too, right? I'm not the only one who did not.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, that's a little weird. I mean, why is that there? And the music and stuff. No, I don't want to spoil.
Oh my God! Yeah, the music. Rudy, I'm glad you mentioned the music, because that was something I really wanted to mention about the movie, but had forgotten in the last 2 months. Like that weird, like smooth jazz soundtrack was like just felt so totally out of place to me. I mean, I liked it. It was actually one of the better parts of the film, I guess, but it did not feel like it fit. It was an almost mournful soundtrack.
Yeah.
No, I don't think this movie would have been anything to me if it weren't for all the sex scenes, all the penis everywhere. Oh my God. I mean, and it really was so unnecessary, but I feel like the actual plot itself, it could have had potential, but if you take out all the sex scenes, it's still kind of, I don't know, boring and silly. I didn't feel like it was a very deep movie personally, or even very interesting without the sex scenes. Like, I needed something to make me laugh. Come on.
Yeah, the sex scenes did add something. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure what it was, but it added something.
I mean, I feel like, you know, whoever directed this did watch a lot of porn and just base it on that, because the way they did montages where they would just keep changing positions, it was pretty weird. Like, it wasn't a normal sex scene.
Yeah, no, it didn't. It did look like pornography. Basically.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But once we get to the spoiler-free part, we can go into more detail about why that's even more hilarious.
I will say, as far as the sex scenes are concerned, I thought they were pretty bad, and I don't mean morally bad. I mean, like, here's the thing. I guess we can say up front, I think we discussed this before, and we can mention that there is rape in this movie. But anyway, looking at, or maybe, anyway.
Dubious
But,
rape.
yeah. Looking at these sex scenes, like, if you're going to do a sex scene in a movie, I imagine you want it, or if maybe it's a rape scene, I imagine you want it to be one of three things, right? You want it to be either the first possibility, which might be morally reprehensible, but it's a possibility, would to make it titillating somehow, right? The second possibility would, and if you were going to make it titillating, you would cut it in a way that would be erotic, or that would be styled so that the person watching it would get aroused, right? I mean, that's what it. The second possibility would be to cut it in a way that made the audience feel like disgusted or horrified. After all, this is a rape scene, and you would want the audience to go, "Oh my God!" You would want them to be taken aback, or and you could cut that in a way that would really make the viewer emphasize with the character who is the victim of the rape, and really, there's a lot of different tricks that you could use to really bring out the horror of that moment. The third way you could go would be what I would call a history of violence method, right?
Yeah.
Which would be to cut the scene or frame the scene in a way where it's highly ambiguous. And I don't want to have a discussion right now about whether it's like ambiguous rape scenes in a movie are a morally allowable thing. Like, I know there's a big debate about this, right? About, well, is there ever such a thing as an ambiguous rape? And I don't necessarily want to have that discussion now. But in cinema, the fact remains that some movies have cuts. That there are movies that exist that have scenes where when you're watching it, you're not sure if you're watching a rape or an instance of consensual intercourse. And I think one of the best instances of this is in the movie, the Cronenberg film, A History of Violence. There's a deeply ambiguous scene in that movie that I don't want to spoil the movie, but there's where you think you know what you're watching, and then you're like, wait. And that scene is shot very carefully to achieve that effect. But anyway, so this movie, dealing with the fact that some of the sex scenes in this movie might be rape, I would think you'd want to frame it in one of those ways. And as I said, some of those great ways are possibly more morally permissible than others, or more acceptable than others. But if just from sheer amoral stance, trying to evoke an effect from the audience, you would either want to titillate them, or you would want to shock them, or you would want them to be confused or questioning, or in a kind of leave them kind of hanging. I don't feel like these sex scenes did any of those things. I felt like they were really, really lifeless. if a sex scene can be lifeless, very much I don't know. I almost thought of nature documentaries where it's the male mounts the female and insertion takes place. They were cut in a very neutral way, but not even neutral, just antiseptic, very this is a diagram. And since it's an animation, it actually makes that effect worse. This is a sexual diagram. This is a diagram of that could be used as an explainer for the mechanics of sex, but which is not erotic or shocking or even really interesting or confusing. So I don't know, maybe you guys had a different take, but
No, I think this was definitely intentioned as porn, because I know you guys warned us a few weeks ago. There's a rape scene in this, so okay. I prepared myself because, I'm fairly desensitized to a lot of things in movies, but with rape scenes, you never know. Sometimes I might feel a little shocked and have to look away.
Mhm.
But so then, I prepared myself. I watched this last night. It happened. I'm like, okay, was that actual rape? But that really, because it really didn't come across that way to me. It did seem very ambiguous and like it was supposed to just be pornographic and titillating, which it wasn't, in my opinion. It was just ridiculous to me. So, no. But you'd make a good point because I think it should lean one way or another, and it really doesn't in this film at all. Like, there might be one scene where they make it clear what it is, but for most of it, they really don't.
Yeah. AJ, Rudy, you want to weigh in on the sex scenes?
I mean, about all I have to say, where like I would have preferred it without.
Yeah.
That's basically the extent of my review. I mean, I think they were pretty much just, I think both of you hit it on the head. It was kind of a nature documentary, like intended to describe like what porn is. Like the male mounts the female in this pornographic manner, Like I could see a Japanese teacher showing that to like young Japanese boys. This is how sex occurs,
Rudy?
Yeah, so I guess if you're a hikikomori and you're in your room, your one-room apartment, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I don't really give a shit. Yeah, I am too, but I mean, I guess if you're that, and I mean, maybe you want a nature documentary in your porn because maybe you want to see how it's done. I don't really know. Also, a great man once said, "I like to have sex until I come." And I think that these sex scenes embodied that. So yeah.
Yeah.
That is very deep.
That's profound, Rudy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It was just not. It was definitely more. I guess my closing thought on that is that they were definitely more pornographic than cinematic. And as far as that goes, I'm not sure that as even from a pornographic perspective, they were particularly like satisfying, but I am not a hardcore pornography person, so maybe those in our audience who are would have a different takeaway. So let's talk about something other than the graphic sex in the movie, please.
Do you want to go around and do our vulture ratings? Or?
Yeah, we should.
Sure, let's do that, and then we can do a deeper dive into the film after that. So, Rudy, why don't you start us off since this was your movie?
I'd give this about 3.8 vultures out of 5 or however many. Because I don't think the scene, there was one scene in the movie, the bathroom scene, and I won't get into it, but it was really cool and was really well, I guess it's not choreographed. It's
drawn.
Drawn. I mean, I don't know. It was really well thought out, and I thought that elevated the movie a lot. But the plot and stuff, as much as it was there, wasn't really great. I mean, I don't really get into plot and story anyway, but it wasn't really that good, and there wasn't really much else to hold attention. But the parts that were violent were pretty good. So the pornography, I mean, yeah, you take or leave that. I mean, it was gratuitous, and if you like that, then cool. If not, then I don't know. Yeah, I'd say about 3.8.
Okay. Sarah.
I'll give this 2 vultures, and one of those vultures is for the penis.
Or the
That's-
penis is, I guess.
Yeah, or I could just give it 2 dicks for that.
Yeah, there you go. two erect vultures.
Yeah.
2 vultures standing fully upright.
There you go.
Okay. Anything else to say about the movie, Sarah?
No, just penis. Penis, penis,
No.
penis. Yeah.
AJ.
I'd give it 4 out of 10 vultures. Basically, like Rudy said, I definitely agree that that bathroom scene was probably one of the best in the movie.
Just to pause here, there are actually 2 bathroom. Believe it or not, there are 2
Oh,
bathroom
right.
scenes in this
Yeah.
movie. Are you talking about the first bathroom scene or the second bathroom scene?
Both of them, honestly.
Okay.
But I think Rudy's talking about the first bathroom scene. And I
Yeah.
agree that that one's pretty spectacular. And the fact that, like, I don't know why, like, it's just an emotional response on my part, but I loved the violence in this movie. Like, it was extremely satisfying. Like, there's no way that the porn scenes could have been satisfying, but the violence was definitely satisfying. Yeah, it was just like drawn in a way that I really appreciated it. So.
Cool. Well, actually, it's a good thing you ended on the action scenes, because that's something I wanted to talk about before we get into spoilers, and it's a good way to start my review. So I didn't think much of the action scenes in this movie. I thought they were kind of generic, honestly. I mean, one of the great things about animation is you have this limitless canvas, right? So if you're going to make an animated action film, you have so much possibility in terms of where you can set the scenes, what you can do with them, and the fact that the fight scenes, the action scenes that occur in this movie, happen in pretty generic settings as far as action movies are concerned, like bathrooms and subways. And there's one that involves a vertical drop that I'm not going to get into too far, which is, I don't know, I feel like I've seen all those things in other movies, and I don't feel like this film brought much to that in terms of like style. I understand that there are moments that you couldn't have done outside of outside of animation as a medium, but those moments didn't really rise above like Saturday morning cartoon fare for me. And the one like innovation in the action scenes, and I don't think this is a spoiler because it happens again and again and again, is the fact that the bullets explode. And that seemed like such a Michael Bay moment to me. It's like, well, on paper, these action scenes seem a little dry. She goes into these different settings and she basically shoots people. Can we spice this up a little? And he's like, well, I know. What if the bullets exploded? And I don't know. It just felt. There's one exception, which is actually not the bathroom scene you guys were talking about, but the other bathroom scene, which maybe I'll talk about in a little more detail when we don't have, when we can introduce spoilers. But I thought there were a couple of moments there where where it really took advantage of animation as a medium. But the rest of it, I don't know, they left me pretty, like, compared to something like Kill Bill, which is not an animated film. Like, the action scenes there are like so carefully choreographed, and there's so much going on, and there's so much inventiveness and innovation, and it's like you're almost watching like ballet or dance or something. And I know maybe it's a little maybe it's telling that I would rather that these action scenes were more like dance sequences, but I don't know. I just, they didn't do much for me. As I said, I thought the sex scenes were kind of inessential at best, and I don't know. So not much, aside from a couple of moments that we might talk about either. Not much in this film worked for me, and whereas I didn't like hard candy when I left left hard candy, I was like, I had a lot to talk about because it made me angry. This movie didn't really make me angry. I was just like, yeah, okay, that hour's gone. So I'm gonna give it. I'm giving it half a vulture because there were a couple of okay moments, and I want to save a complete no vulture scar for something really terrible. But half a vulture from me.
I'm just gonna add in. I agree about the action scenes. They were all very dull to me. It just didn't do anything. It didn't really stand out. It wasn't very interesting. That's why I thought the sex scenes were the best part for me, just because they were so stupid. They were not well done, but they made me laugh to some degree, which is probably saying something bad about me, considering. But just the fact that they would stick them in there at random moments in these odd montages. Yeah. Because if it had honestly just been like action scenes and this girl assassinating people alone, it would have been really, really bland.
See, one of the reasons I really liked the action scenes was because, like, I really don't like action scenes in basically any other movie. Like, I didn't like the action scenes in Kill Bill.
What?
I did. I thought that
It just, like, I mean, it came off. Of course, it's supposed to be absurd, but it just wasn't, like, really interesting. And I guess the thing that I appreciate about In Kite is the fact that it is pretty typical, but then, like, there's this slight absurdity to the physics that I really enjoyed.
Right.
Like, it's not, utilizing anime as a means to really pull off some shit, but there's this, like, uncanny valley sort of thing that happens.
Yeah.
Where you're supposed to look at the action scenes and see something that's absurd, but it's not quite absurd enough, and it just sort of forces you into this, like, slightly uncomfortable space that I just really enjoyed. Especially during, like, as you mentioned, the vertical drop scene. That was pretty spectacular in my opinion.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to the spoiler section? Spoiler alert. Okay, so as usual, I urge anyone who's listening now to, if you haven't seen the movie, to stop, watch the movie. It's only an hour long. It may be difficult to find, but we'll include a link in the. I'm not even sure where you can buy the uncut version of the film. I'll try to dig up an uncut version and maybe also include the boulderized version as well. We'll see. But I encourage you to go watch the film, come back, and listen to the part that has spoilers. Or if you don't give a shit, if you don't plan to watch the film or you don't mind listening to spoilers, you can listen. You can keep listening. Okay. So, final warning. What do you guys want to talk about in terms of spoilers? In terms of the deeper, whatever.
Oh, well, you know this movie isn't deep.
Yeah, it's not. It's
It's
not
not
a deep
at all.
movie.
Rudy, do you want to lead this one?
I don't really have much to say, but I guess we can start with the bathroom scene, the first bathroom scene.
Okay,
Why
yeah.
do I only remember one bathroom scene? I just watched this last night.
The second bathroom scene, the first bathroom scene is when she's assassinating the twin.
The twins,
and,
okay.
Yeah, and the second bathroom scene is when Oburi attacks the cop whose name I've already forgotten after 2 weeks.
I think it's Akai, I believe.
Akai?
Akai, something like that. I'm not sure.
That's when Oburi attacks Akai and gets his ass beat.
Yep.
The second one is the one that's mostly in darkness and stuff, but we can maybe talk about that one after the first one. At least I think that one took place in the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it started in the bathroom anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, that first bathroom scene. So how about that violence? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like, I there's one point where um Sala, is she like thrown out the window or jumps out the window?
I think she's pushed, right?
Yeah.
she's pushed and the guy has his arms around.
Right, and then
back on
like there's this long fall, which, like, multiple stories,
Yeah.
long enough
And
that,
underground.
yeah, and there's no way that like anyone could possibly survive that. And apparently, like, she falls on top of him and survives because he breaks her fall.
Yeah.
Was that how it was? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that was just, I mean, yes, you've seen that in cartoons before, but it just like kind of, it sort of summed up all of the previous violence moments where it's like, yes, this is absurd, but also you're supposed to take it at least somewhat at face value.
Mhm.
And it's just, it really is absurd, and I like that part.
Was that the one where they fell onto that truck and then it
Yeah.
broke the road? I think
Fell
we need to
through the
talk about-
And
pavement.
fell
You know,
through
we
the
need to talk
pavement,
about
yeah.
the infrastructure in Japan. That's what we need to talk about.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
blew up, and she was thrown out of the hole onto a bed.
Oh, she still survived, by the way.
She still survived because of the
Nothing
bed.
kills
That's why
her.
she survived.
Yeah. Honestly, there's only one moment that I really remember distinctly in that scene, and that's when they actually shoehorn in the middle of this action scene that involves this long vertical drop. They fall down past a window where
yeah.
two people are fucking. It's like, we gotta get 60 seconds of porn in case we've lost our target audience. And it was like
That was the
that
greatest.
moment. I think is the film to me. Like, you have one really contrived action scene that had already lost me by that point, that was broken up by a moment of just totally gratuitous pornography. It's like, let's look in this window and see, and oh, there's two people fucking in there. Like, it's not like they were doing that thing that they do in movies sometimes where they cut into different apartments and show reaction shots from people like tangentially involved in the larger like fight that's going on. It's not like they fell past a woman like who was cooking grits or something and like some guy who's sitting there reading his newspaper. It's the only one they showed in was like The Office where the guy's fucking his secretary or whatever. I thought, what the fuck? Like, this is a movie right here. This is a whole movie. It's like this action scene was so dumb, and then there's this moment of pornography, and then just back to the action scene. Well,
All right. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that, I think, is almost like self-referential type stuff going on. Because I mean, like, they had to have known that, especially with the dialogue and the scene. I think it was like, "Oh, Mr. Manager, it's so satisfying," or something, or "We might get caught," and he's like, "But it's so satisfying." And I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, it was like so contrived and like weird, like. But
yeah.
no, I really like the also the dialogue between the twins at the start of the action scene, that because that must be what Japanese people think about American culture, right? He's like, well, if we fuck up, we can just buy an Oscar or something. Like, and I thought, I don't know, I thought so like somebody mentioned the bullets exploding and stuff, and I thought that was really. Like, while that might have been over the top and, like you said, Michael Bay type stuff, for that particular scene, it kind of made the stuff make a little more sense, I guess. I mean, if it could be seen as making sense, but also, oops, I'm hearing my voice fed back to me. Uh-oh.
Let's just ignore that.
Well, not if you can hear it loudly. We probably shouldn't. I'm not hearing your voice. Is anyone else hearing Rudy's voice?
No, he's not talking.
Okay, Rudy, talk and see if.
Talk. I don't hear it anymore.
Okay, well, this is going to be an enduring mystery. I just have no
It is.
idea.
I heard myself a while back, but I think it's just going to be on and off.
Yeah, I mean, unless we can figure out what. I'm getting a new headset in a few weeks anyway, so maybe it will be better. I don't know, if it's my headset, maybe it will be better then. But it was happening when I was using my webcam also, so
Yeah.
I don't know. If it's gone now, it's gone. We'll just have to live with it. So, Rudy, you said, but anyway.
Oh, anyway, I think those bullets, the exploding bullets, really add a visceral feel to the movie that wouldn't be there otherwise. Like AJ said, there's something satisfying about the action scenes that you can't quite pin down, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's that visceral element. Like, she'll shoot the guy and you see his head bulge up and then it, so grows and just explodes. And the way they did that with the animation is really, it's satisfying. How they show the the kill shots and all of that. It's satisfying in a way that a lot of live action movies really aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never seen an action scene that I feel was like satisfying in that way. Honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't find anything about this movie satisfying. So
I guess there's something to be said about that, like, visceral level of satisfaction, though. It's almost like popping bubble wrap, right? It's like,
Exactly. Yeah, it's that it's the new trend of oddly satisfying videos online where they're like cutting sand with knives and etc.
so
Yeah.
someone's head blowing off is roughly as
Yeah,
satisfying.
exactly. It's an aesthetic sort of thing. Well,
Hmm. Oh, of course.
That
It always
aesthetic.
comes back to aesthetics. So, trying to think of other things. So, as long as we're talking about action sequences and as long as we're talking about bathrooms, we might as well talk about the other bathroom scene, which was probably one of only two scenes in the movie that I really liked. We can talk about the other one later, maybe. The other one is like the last scene of the movie, but I really did like what they did in the second action scene. Well, maybe. Well, it caught me more than anything else in the movie. The scene where the bathroom, it's like totally dark, and well, it's largely dark, and then it gets darker and darker until you can just see the just like the end of the detective's cigarette. I thought
Yep.
that was a little cliche. I mean, we've seen that before in movies, but at least it was an attempt to do something with animation that would have been more difficult to do with film, and it was stylish. And the way that the scene would cut to black, and you weren't always seeing everything that was going on while they were fighting. I thought that was a little bit. It caught my attention more than the other fight scenes, certainly, and it seemed to have a certain level of like style that the previous scenes didn't. It wasn't terribly deep. It wasn't terribly like. It wasn't like shockingly innovative, but it was like, oh hey, like the animators are actually paying attention to what they're doing. They don't seem to be on autopilot, like just rendering the script, anymore. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment on the whole. And that one I thought, because so much of it was in darkness and because so much of it was unseen, it was actually a little bit more engaging. Like it engaged, it caught that part of your mind that it forced your mind to hook onto the film and start to try to figure things out as opposed to just dictating it to you.
Will only liked the part of the movie where you couldn't see what was happening. I was like, turn it off, please.
Yeah. I don't know, did anyone else have any thoughts on that scene, or was I the only one who was really...
honestly, I totally forgot it happened. So
I love
the
that
impression
scene.
this movie left on me, apparently.
I really like that scene stylistically. I mean, there was like I remember in particular the one part where I think it's one of them is holding the other. I forget, who was in which position, but they speak and then like the lights flicker on and off, and then they're in the same position when the lights come on, and that in particular, like the art of that moment really stuck with me, and the fact that it was, it had to be a sequence. Like you couldn't like have a piece of art that conveyed the same feeling
Right.
that it did.
It was
couldn't
almost
have
like a
been
flip book,
static.
kind of.
Exactly, yeah. And that just like not even in relation to the movie, like I don't think it made the movie like cohesively better, but that sequence as, in isolation was really good.
Yeah. So the other scene that showed, I think, some level of style or anything was the final scene of the movie. It was another moment where you felt like, oh, they're actually. In fact, okay. So I almost think that the final scene of the movie was too good for the rest of the movie. Because it hints at a level of profundity or a level of thought and consideration that was obviously not there in the preceding 59 minutes. But that really, not only the shot where Oburi is shot, which was in some ways kind of cliche, he drops the bag and the cans of cat food spill out. We've seen that. But the moment where Sawa is waiting there on the floor for Oburi to come back, and you hear the door open, and and she's assuming it's Oburi, but on some level you just watched him get killed, probably. So it's like, well, who's coming through the door? And just that kind of the dissonance between what she's expecting and what you're fearing, I think was kind of remarkably thoughtful considering how dumb everything that happened before it was.
Long pause.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't really have any.
That sounds about right, honestly.
I think I missed the sound of the door opening. I just thought, okay, he's dead, and she's going to be really sad eventually when she finds out. But no, I guess if that happened, you can just assume it's the new assassin. Right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is it someone coming to kill her? I mean, maybe. I mean, there's also the outside chance, although it's extremely unlikely, that it's Oburi actually coming back. Because the movie doesn't make it absolutely 100% unequivocal that he was killed. It also could just be like, I don't know, just some other homeless person coming in there to chill, I must say that the most emotionally moving part of the film, though, for me, was when those cans of cat food spilled out, and I'm like, oh my god, those cats are going to get their dinner. That was, for me, the saddest and most heart-wrenching moment in the film, because those cats were so adorable, and I was like, I would have been so satisfied by if the last scene of the film was just them feeding those cats. And it's like, oh, that for me would have been a happy ending. So the thought that who else is going to feed the fucking cats? And if Sawa gets killed, is anyone going to feed those cats? This is just deeply distressing to me. These are the kinds of things that will upset me in a movie. Wasn't too concerned. Oburi, who cares? He was fucking he was two-dimensional in every possible sense of the term. But the cats, I was concerned for their welfare.
I didn't feel like any of the characters were really fleshed out, actually, now that you bring that up. Even Sawa, because you find out, how early on you find out, but you find out that her parents were murdered. and then she was, I guess, adopted by this detective who's actually a bad guy. He's very rapey as well.
Extremely rapey.
Yeah, I was being generous. But you just don't really get much from her personality either. And then you find out later that, the detective, he's the one who murdered her parents. And she says, I know. Like, I've known for a long time. What?
Yeah,
You've
Yeah.
known, and you're
I
still
didn't understand that either,
him.
really.
So it's just, there's just no real sense of depth to any of the characters, I felt. That's why,
Right.
I didn't feel connected. Like, when Aubrey was killed, I was like, yeah, I actually thought about the cats too. And then they immediately showed the cats looking, expectant. And
Right.
they're not going to get fed tonight. So
What the hell? Yeah.
it was
What the
sad.
fuck is that?
Yeah, I'm totally with you as far as like it seems to me like the only thing she was waiting for was the best moment in the plot of the film to kill him. Like it's like, well, I have to wait until the climax of the film to shoot the guy who killed my parents.
Yeah, I can't do it right now when he's right next to me. What?
Right, and I certainly have to allow him. Well, because that last rape scene is so ambiguous, I shouldn't say allow him. Like under normal circumstances, I would never say allow someone to rape you, since obviously if you're being raped, you're not allowing anything. But because of the way that where it's like, well, is this part of a ploy on her part of a ploy on Akai's part? Are they collaborating? Are they not? That, by the way, is the scene that I couldn't make any sense of in terms of spatial coherence.
Yeah.
But I mean, she had to I don't know there were so many opportunities when she could have killed this motherfucker before, and it doesn't seem like a more thoughtful movie might have dwelt on the idea that of Stockholm syndrome and whether she had been terrorized by him to the degree that she felt she didn't have a other option, and then and then O'Burry gradually brings her out of her shell, and now she feels empowered to she feels like she's got to confront this guy and do something. There was a narrative maybe, and I guess that's maybe what the writers intended, but it's so flimsy that it really seems like she's just kind of going along with this until the plot necessitates that she not.
Yeah, it made no sense. It really made absolutely no sense at all. And with that last scene where, she's at first it looks like rape. It looks like she doesn't want it. And then all of a sudden she's with it, and they're doing that montage thing again where they keep changing positions. Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like she's really engaging in it. And Aubrey is just staring at them the whole time. Why?
I feel like the fact that they made him watch on
So
Yeah, kind of make him watch.
that was pretty good.
Yeah, they just turned it into porn at that point. If it was supposed to be emotional or scarring in any way, they failed.
But it was
ridiculous.
Porn. They turned it into porn that the other character was just inserted into. Honestly,
Yeah.
They're all right, Aubrey, you have to watch this now.
Yeah. I'll be honest, for most of this movie, I felt like Aubrey during that scene. Except it was like Rudy holding me down and forcing me. But yeah, that scene was so fucking bewildering to me. That was the scene I was talking about earlier. When I was initially watching that scene, I thought what was happening was that we knew Aubrey was being held down and being beat up. And my thought was that at the same time, she was having a flashback to the first instance that Akai raped her, or one of the previous instances when she had been abused by him, because it did not look to me like these things were happening in the same physical space. And it was only as I said, 30, 40 seconds into it that I'm like, wait, now the way they keep cutting back and forth, and the way that it's they're obviously making him watch, this must be going on in the same physical space. But I swear to God, the backgrounds didn't match up. There was no physical way they could have been doing what they were doing while he was also being held on the floor next to, there's no scene that shows Oburi, the guy who's holding him, Akai, and Sawa in the same frame either. So it felt, which I guess maybe is because they were planning to edit like 15 minutes out of the movie.
Yeah.
But it just in no way did this feel. It really felt like two parallel scenes that were happening at once. I just couldn't get it just did not feel right, and obviously it shouldn't have felt right. But if I thought this movie was more sophisticated than I think it is, I would say they were trying to do that to create some kind of like sense of like, in the audience that something was profoundly unright, that something was wrong, something was just up there. But it just felt like really weird, disorienting animation to me.
Can I also just say that at some point during this movie, I just felt like, okay, every guy in this film who's like middle-aged and up is a rapist. So when they were going down, when they were doing that drop, and they cut to that scene of the guy fucking the woman in the office,
Right.
I immediately thought, oh my God, another rape scene. Oh my God, he's raping a little girl or something. Immediately, I didn't even think for a second that it was consensual, because I just thought all the old guys in this are rapists. Right. And now I just don't even know. I just don't.
Just like real life.
Just like real life.
Exactly.
Right.
Where you turn 40 years old and immediately become a rapist.
You do.
Yeah. Not wrong.
God damn it, Mr. Bones. He's been sleeping in front of my keyboard the whole time. So, any other thoughts about this film?
Well, someone mentioned Kill Bill earlier, and I guess Tarantino appreciated this film in some way, because he had the actress who played Gogo Yubari. Remember the girl with the big chain ball or whatever in the first Kill Bill? Like, I guess he had her watch it to study up on her role or something from the role of Sawa. I guess he appreciated that character in some way.
Yeah, I read that too, actually, after I watched it, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how much you want to read into that. Tarantino likes a lot of really bad films.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Is it seems like, I mean, that to me is basically a sign that this is a good exploitation film, if nothing else. I mean,
right.
or a decent, a passable exploitation that you can get some form of titillation or voyeurism out of it. Which, I mean, a lot of the scenes, show that. I mean, especially like you said, the one where they're falling down the vertical drop and he sees her fucking, or he sees the guy fucking the intern or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. There wasn't much in I don't have much to say about the movie, other than it was very short and very violent.
Right.
And I guess
that does pretty much sum it up.
Yeah. Nasty, brutish, and short. Shit.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because earlier I was going to say that when someone was talking about the film in different terms, but I would have had to interrupt their thought. But yeah, nasty, brutish, and short. That's the perfect summary for Kite. And also,
I mean, it's pretty Hobbesian, I guess. I mean, it's basically like, well, people do shit for no reason, and basically, fuck it. Like, you're gonna have criminals who do shit, so why not just let everybody? I don't know. Like, just fuck it. Pretty much, that was conveyed to me. It's like, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's definitely a very nihilistic film.
Yeah.
Which I don't object to. I mean.
Yeah, I certainly don't either.
And I think we're approaching the point where the podcast will be longer than the film, so maybe any closing. Especially if we have to splice 15 minutes of pornography into the podcast.
Yeah,
exactly. That'll be on you, Will.
We'll hire an independent contractor. So, any final thoughts about this movie?
Just penis.
Penis.
Yeah.
Dicks.
God damn it, Sarah.
This we should do more penis movies. So I can say penis.
Less penis.
All the penises.
We'll have to put a poll up on the site. Do you want us to do
Oh,
more?
we're gonna put a big poll up. So that's what we're gonna do.
I think that we've done pretty well so far. I mean, only 2 out of the 4 movies that we've watched, only 50% of the movies we've watched have had penises in them. So
Yeah.
I think that's the perfect balance, really. You can't really accuse us of being pro or anti-penis as a result, you know?
I mean, it also only 50% had child rape in them. So
So you can't accuse us of being pro or anti-pedophile
That's
either.
right.
Equal opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So, I think we will call it a day there. We'll end the podcast there. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with whatever movie Sarah chooses to inflict on us.
You will all love it.
That's, I'm sure we will. Okay,
I'm gonna be very calculating now.
going to just to maximize the emotional brutality,
Yes.
the pain that you inflict on us.
I want to traumatize all of you. I do.
Yeah.
Especially AJ though. I just want to throw penises at her.
Oh God.
I think that would actually be sexual assault. I mean, I'm not.
That would fit the theme though, right?
Yeah.
No.
What? I refuse.
You can't. They're just gonna hit you in the face, okay?
No.
Well, I am going to steer clear of this discussion. So I guess that's as good a point as any to end this on, really. So I hope you will tune in again for our next episode. And until then, how do we?
Penis.
Stay miserable.
That's a good. Yeah.
Yes, remain a miserable penis. There you go. Okay, all right. Fuck it.
Penis.